Hello, I am Toro and I'm going to be showing you how I play apps on the CT side Inferno. So this is a bit like a guide to playing CTA Anchor Inferno, but it's more of a how I play it, not how to play it exactly. First off, I'm going to be showing you what I usually do on an eco. So I usually have 3 players go B, and then 2 people go A, and whoever has the best spawn, or if you and a rando are going A, you can do this. But you start off knife out, and then you want to be jumping across mid and apps to get info for the team to see where the T's are going. So you spot T ramp, spot second mid, and you fall back. And I usually like to fall back to give up long, and because if you got 3B and it's going to be A, then they can watch CT from like Speedway or something. As soon as you spot them, second mid, you call straight away, and 2B players should rotate over. And then you can play a double pit setup with the USPs, so you can have maybe a USP holding here, on the headshot angle here, in case they do a long wrap, or and you have another one watching short on this headshot angle here, because USPs are pretty deadly against Glocks. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what I do on a force buy usually. So either I probably have MP9 or a cheap shotgun. So I push apps, and then I play, if I have a shotgun, I'll play an off angle like this, because when terrorists come out, they'll usually pre-fire here, so if you're standing here, you might catch them off guard with a shotgun. If I have an SMG, I'll usually swing this, try and catch them out, but you can play an SMG, maybe hit another place you can go on force, somewhere like here with an MP9, or maybe an auto shotgun. That's quite powerful. You can also have like a setup in apps where someone watches here and then someone watches like here as well. You can also say you have money for a smoke with your MP9. You could jiggle this, and then as soon as you take contact, just drop a smoke and fall back to this position here. Okay, now I'm going to show you what I do on a gun round usually. This is what I do like every time it's the first gun round of the game, because I like to play it safe. First gun round. So first of all, molly at 142, and then after you molly, straight after you molly, you want to get behind this wall, because some terrorists won't respect this and they'll just peek in the molly or run straight through. So you want to throw the molly, then get behind here so you're ready, and then go like that. And then what I do is, after I've thrown the molly, I'll then come here, Well, this is a good spam, because come here and place a bot here. If you aim just here, that's easy kill if they're waiting there behind the molly, because they'll have to wait if they're not rushing. I don't usually do that once a game though, because once you get a kill, they're not going to fall for that again, they're not going to stand there again and die. So I do that once a game, and if you've done it three times maybe with a rifle, I'd probably not do it again as well, because they probably know what's going on there. But another spam you can do is here, to deal damage onto the player in bedroom. And if you look, if I put a bot here, this is a spam that you can probably do most rounds if you've already done this like once and got away with it, or you've done this a few times, because this one you're most likely going to get chip damage through most times, whereas this one is more of a precise, and that's just kind of a spray. Like you can just because they might not be standing in the exact spot, but yeah, that's a good spam to do as well. And then usually once I've come apps, thrown the molly, done the spam, usually fall back, drop down to pit, and it's good if you do this quickly because they won't hear you drop down if they're all the way back stairs still. And then I take up an angle like this, because this is just a really powerful angle. This wall here actually blocks chimney flashes if they want to throw chimney flashes. So this is like a perfect, safe default gun round place to hold, and it's like a headshot angle as well, but it's really hard for the terrorist to actually see. You do need quite a good reaction time to hit this shot, but even if you don't hit this, like give it a spray, you might even dink them through the wall, and then that usually scares them off entirely. So, or they fall back to a more safer looking position just behind that corner. So that's a good angle to hold. That's how I usually play a gun round. So I'm gonna go through some positioning on balcony specifically first. So I already showed this angle here, which can be quite good if maybe you have an SMG. Because if you think the person coming out here is clearing like this, and then you know they're maybe clearing here or here, they're not going to expect you all the way there. So you will catch some people off guard here if they're not careful, if they think it's clear. But angle I like to play on most gun rounds if I don't have a smoke, because you need a smoke if you're playing pit, is as you play up on balcony with this angle here, and you usually will see their barrel poking out if they've got an AK or something, if they're kind of trying to clear this area and this area. I usually hold it like this, and they will usually walk out and you get 1 free kill for sure. Say my brackets player or my short player dies, I will usually tighten up this angle here so it's more like that, and then I can kind of hold short, and if an apps person walks out, they'll walk into my crosshair anyway, and I'm not going to get a headshot, but I can kind of just spray, and hopefully you can get a multi-kill in this scenario. Another thing about the balcony is you can either play on top of this railing, or you can play just behind it if you do a little strafe. So some good places are right behind here. You can hold like this, or you can play slightly deeper angle, so you can watch them run onto the site. This is really good if you're like solo on A maybe, or your short player's died and you don't have time to like move from a position like here or here. You want to go like here. You can also play like anti-flash here as well if maybe you're doubling pit or you've got a guy on site. Maybe you want to play anti-flash here, and then that's a really good position to support your teammates from. You can also play an angle like this. However, I usually prefer not to, unless I know it's maybe a lower buy from the opposition, because if they clear this kind of slowly or properly like that, they're quite likely to win the actual. So you just got to be careful playing that position. Another thing on the balcony is you've got this headshot angle here towards boiler. So maybe your short player is calling that they hear one boiler or bedroom. It might be worth to just hold this for a few seconds, and especially if, I don't know, maybe your short player's died, your long player's only watching, your long player's quite close to mid brackets area, and they're vulnerable from boiler while they're backing off or something. You can hold this. You could smoke this off or something and hold this for a long time, but in my opinion, that's a bit of a waste of a smoke. I've seen people like Crims hold an angle like this, which is pretty nice. Pretty hard to see there. So okay, now I'll show you some of the angles in pit I like to play. So obviously there's angles like this and like this, but my favorite angle, this is also one. This is really good. This kind of Xantara's angle, but it's very prone to like chimney flashes coming over the top. So you want to play this if you think it's going to be an eco or a low buy or late in the half, and you've noticed that they've never like flashed pit area. You can probably get away with this. If you know it's an eco and it could be an apps pop, it's worth playing this angle a little wider, so you're they don't jump out and kill your short player without you being able to shoot them. Because if you're playing really tight like this, they could quickly run out, hop out, and kill them. So that would be a bit better. You can also use this bike here. You can hop on this bike, and gives you a nice headshot angle towards here. And you can also play it like this as well, which is really strong. If I just place a bot here. If you're coming out of apps, you're usually clearing like this bit, this balcony bit here, or you're clearing here and here, and it's really hard to, like, your crosshair's not going to be there when you're clearing this part here, so it's quite a powerful position. You can barely see them when you're crouching. It's just a good off angle there. Let's get this guy out of the way. As well as playing on bike, you can actually play on these barrels. Say your short player's on site or something, watching apps. You can play on these barrels and you have headshot angles similar to bike. That's pretty good off angle. You also can play an angle more like this, which is a bit of an off angle. When they come out, it's hard to clear this while clearing everything else. The only thing you've got to be careful playing this is being aware of flashes. So you could play anti-flash here. You could just try, if they're not flashing out apps, if they're not using much util, this could be pretty strong. You could mow a few down here. Playing around pit, you've got this wheel here where if you crouch, like, you can see them coming before they can see you. So you can shoot through here, or just wait. You've also got this here, which people can sometimes forget about, and you can sometimes get some kills through here, or this hay area. Just got mini pit itself, pretty standard. You can play some crossfires from mini pit from like players on site, like on this box here. I'll go into that a bit later. But some good angles in mini pit are ones like this, and like this. Maybe you're saving in mini pit, and you want to hold angles like this, but obviously you got the headshot angle as well. Yeah. Then there's graveyard as well. Now this is the best angle to hold in graveyard, because if you hold this angle, you can't be seen from short, and it's hard to be killed from short. So that's the best angle for graveyard. Because if you play like this, you can be seen from short. So that's a bit, and probably long as well, if you, depending on how far up you are, if you're like crouched here. So this is the best angle for graveyard. Okay, so you can also play on short with your teammate who is also playing short. Maybe they're up there, maybe they're there. This is a really powerful angle. I've seen people like Magisk and Kenny S has even played this with the AWP. It's really powerful off angle, but T's don't expect when they're coming out of apps and trying to clear deep sight or swing round to clear the end of the balcony. So that's a really good angle. And the good thing about this angle is if your short player takes contact, you can quickly come round and help him out by peeking. And you can also kind of play anti-flash as well if you want, like kind of go like this or something, just to help out your short player. Maybe long gets smoked off and you're holding this and you think, oh okay, let's wait for the flash and I'll peek after the flash in case my short guy gets blind, or if he's hiding under there and he calls that they're flashing, you can both double peek after the flash. Yeah, I'd never play this though if your short player's dead. I wouldn't recommend that. You can also play on site, so you can play, like if you're anchoring and it's only you left, you could play Cold Zera. I usually don't go here because it's a bit risky, because if they bother checking it, they can see you first. Same with Ninja, but people are usually quite lazy clearing Ninja, so it's slightly less risky. But my favourite place to play on site is definitely this box here, because you can hold here and you can see them coming out apps. They can't really shoot you or see you that well there, so you can hold an angle like this where you'll be able to shoot them if they run past from short to try and plant the bomb, and you'll see them when they come out apps in mini pit. And if they run on the site, they'll come through here and they'll think this box is clear, because they'll see that this is clear when on the site, no one's shooting them. They'll run up here, mow them down there. So this is my favourite angle. You can also play it a little wider and actually watch apps if you want to just watch apps really passively, and you have someone holding short. There's also obviously this box here where you can kind of duck and shoot around. There's also positions like this, but and this. However, these are quite pre-fireable. Like I would definitely pre-aim these angles every time I'm coming out apps or lurking apps. So I wouldn't recommend them too much, but you can sometimes catch people out with an angle like this. One angle that is quite good if you know there's like no flashes or anything is something like this. If I put the bot here, because what you'll see is when you're coming out apps and you're pre-aiming down here, look, he's way up here, so when you come out, you know, maybe clear graveyard, looking down here, clearing here, and then they're all the way up there, so that's usually a free kill. But you've got to be careful with, you know, they're flashing out apps a lot. That could be, it's quite prone to being flashed, that position, and you definitely need brackets control if you're playing something like that. Now I'm going to talk about some crossfires on a site. So the first crossfire you can play is if you're in big pit, you can hold a passive angle like this, and then you can have your teammate in Cold Zera, and you can just hold this here, and if they come out apps, you'll hear them and you can just shoot them maybe here, or if they jump out maybe mid-air. They can't really shoot you mid-air, so that's nice. Another one is if you're playing, one person's playing mini pit and then the other person's playing up on this angle again. So this is really strong crossfire here, having one mini pit and one up on this box. And you can also spot apps through this gap if so you can warn your mini pit player they're pushing, and then you can crouch, look behind him, hold that, and you can play a more wider angle on short so he doesn't get swung. So yeah, you can just play off of each other in those. I'm going to go over some boosts now. So the fastest boost for porch is if you have someone there, and then your short player jumps up like that. So you don't actually have to crouch. You can just stand by this, and your short player can just jump up here and crouch jump up onto this, and it's much quicker. You can also boost someone up onto these flower pots. If you stand here, the short player can get on your head and hop up onto these flower pots, and they can play on the ROPS position up there, or move onto the porch. Now, one thing I wanted to say was communication and playing as a team. It's very important. You have to be very vocal if you're playing in this position. So, say you're holding an angle like this. You need to make sure your teammates know at the start of the round that it's not safe for them to just run back from brackets if they're giving up brackets like this, because a lot of times I've played with people who have just run back like this, and they've just been shot in the back from the guy lurking in apps there, just watching for rotates. Also, got to be careful if you're playing like long as well. Like maybe you're playing a wide angle like that. It's possible to get shot. So yeah, communication is very key. Like at the beginning of the round, setups like this as well. Like you can tell your short player, look, I can swing with you. I can play anti-flash. If you're doing like a setup in apps, like if maybe your friend is going for the boiler peak and you're doing your spam, and then you need to call that you're backing off after that, so they're not left in bedroom thinking that this is all covered, and so they know that they can get shot in the back, and they've got to be careful stairs if they're exiting, or if they're boiler kind of holding like this or like this. They need to be wary of possibility of keys coming up this stairs area. It's also wise as well to call your short player back if long gets smoked off, or maybe you're playing 3B at the start of the round. You probably don't want to fight brackets, or you want to do a double short set up brackets. So it's about how many players are on site. You want to kind of conduct where you want your short player to be playing. Like you don't want them playing brackets by themselves, because they're probably just going to die and not get any kills. It's best if they're like playing a crossfire with you on site, or just playing on site, maybe watching apps from somewhere, and you can watch short instead, maybe on the barrels or hay. Yeah, it's just making sure that you're playing together, not isolating fights for the terrorists. If there's only 2 of you on site. You also got to make sure that the long player knows that as soon as he sees a long smoke get thrown, that they say instantly that they're smoked off, because that means they're likely to push short, and maybe you want to get the one way down in pit. Maybe you want to move to a more advantageous position for watching just short. Maybe they smoke long really quickly, kill your short player. You definitely want to drop your smoke and maybe play an angle like this, or if you don't have a smoke, play a passive angle like that. But I usually wouldn't play pit if I don't have a smoke. Usually be apps, maybe play a position like that if short player dies and long smoke. Also, if it's very near the start of the round, sometimes I've mollied this, I've spammed this, and both my brackets players have died like almost instantly. There's a few options you can do here. You can smoke this off and play quite aggressive on short, like peek it, or say you've thrown a molly, brackets players die, you're in the middle of falling back. Well, maybe you actually want to just come back through apps and just take the fight to them in apps, and then you can always, if you're retaking it, maybe you get a kill or something, and your team decides to retake. You've got apps control, so you can maybe even come out boiler and catch them off guard as well. Also, if the short player dies and long is smoked, and you're like, maybe you're here or here, it could be more advantageous rather than playing a position like this, where you could, if they're flashing a lot, or if they're just double peeking everything, trading really well, it might be best just to push apps like hard and maybe take out the apps player, or kind of come and shift and stab them in the back. But yeah, you've got a few options there if they rush. You can either stay and fight, or push, or hold an angle. Okay, I'm now going to go over some smokes that you can throw on A as the pit player. So you can throw this smoke here, which acts as a bit of a one-way, as you can see. But you've got to be careful with this, because this is quite a pre-fired position anyway. So just be careful playing here. They might pre-fire it because the smoke's come down and they think it's a one-way, or they might pre-fire it anyway, because people do, even without the smoke. But another thing that you can use that smoke for is you can use it to come and hold this door, hold them coming out this door, or you can just go through the smoke and kind of play in front of the smoke here. But obviously there's a timer on that from people coming stairs, and you can always exit out boiler if you think it's too risky to go back that way. Just watch out for terrorists coming through the smoke. Yeah. There's also another gimmicky one-way smoke you can throw in apps. That it's probably better at lower levels, but because higher levels you'll see the smoke and you know it's a one-way, you just won't peek, it won't give you anything. You might as well just smoke it off. But in lower levels, you might be able to get away with some kills with this smoke. I'd sit here, because you can. This quite often gets pre-fired, this angle. So if you have the smoke up and you sit here, you can spam them when they cross. So if you're playing pit, you'll want to be throwing this smoke. This will be the main time you use your smoke as pit anchor. This is a great one-way smoke. If you hop on this bike, you get this one-way towards short, and it's also a one-way towards apps as well. They've really struggled to see you from apps as well, so it's really good if maybe your short player's dead and long smoked off, or yeah, they're coming short, or you're anchoring. You can drop that smoke, and you kind of got two angles covered at once, and you don't have to worry about them shooting you from that, because they won't really see you. And later on in the half, sorry, if you've been doing this a lot, they might wait for you to throw this smoke. Not that smoke, that's bad. They might wait for you to throw that one-way smoke, and then molly it. So sometimes it's best to later on in the half not use it too quickly. Maybe take up an angle like this, more passive, where you can kind of just hold this, watch them go onto site, maybe watch them jump out apps. Because another thing with this molly, with this smoke is it doesn't extinguish all mollies. Like there are certain lineups you can throw where it won't get extinguished, but if you just bounce one off the wall randomly, it most likely will get extinguished, which is pretty good. Another thing you've got to be careful of is if you're doing this a lot, is the enemy team double nading pit. If they start double nading pit, it is probably best to play on balcony. And sometimes late in the half, and I'm playing on balcony, maybe they're rushing, and I have a smoke left, and I don't want to die without like using my smoke. It's very useful. Maybe I'm holding a position like this. Short player dies. He says, "Oh, they're coming short." You can throw a smoke like that, and the short players are going to think you're in pit if they didn't see the trajectory, or the apps player didn't hear that. Or maybe there is an apps player, so no one hears where it's come from, but it will confuse them usually nonetheless. So you might be able to get a couple of free kills here because they might think you're in pit, but really you're up here. Graveyard is pretty similar to pit, to be honest. If you're playing graveyard, if you're playing this angle here, maybe you get a kill, then maybe the short player, or they're executing A and they're coming up short and they molly in graveyard. You want to drop a smoke like that, and then you can come out and you get a one-way apps, and you can also play around it short as well. You can even come around here and play like this if there's no one apps, or you killed a guy apps through the one-way already. So that's a pretty good smoke if you're playing graveyard. There's also another gimmicky smoke you can throw in pit. I have to say I barely use this smoke. I don't think I ever really use it, but it's an option. Gives you one way to short. Yeah, it's pretty powerful, I guess. But if you're a higher level terrorist, you're not going to be peeking short when you see the smoke landing like there, and you know it's not the look. So there's a few defensive smokes you can use on A if maybe you're anchoring A. First of all, you can throw one a bit like this, and you can kind of use this as a one-way. Kind of peek over it, anyone running past, shoot them. You can also throw like defensive smokes if you're back on this spot, which I quite like to anchor from. Like smoke over that maybe, kind of peek over that. Or you can drop it a little deeper, and then you can just watch apps and kind of delay and kind of create time for your teammates to rotate in. You can also kind of peek pit in this scenario as well and play around this box using the smoke as like a wall. That's quite good. Watch out for people jumping up on there though. So another thing I've seen some pros do is hold a pixel angle in apps, a bit like this. And then you can just watch to see if someone comes past, and then as soon as they do, you just move back and then drop a smoke. And then you can give us a little spam if they don't push you, but you've got to be careful of them pushing the smoke, and you don't want to get spam back through that. You can also drop a nade, maybe they're lining up behind it to do a pop apps, or just wait for the smoke to fade, maybe they're phasing the smoke, so that can be quite deadly. However, I'm not a massive fan of this technique because sometimes a guy might come out boiler and then they can just sneak up and catch you with the smoke in your hand. So what I prefer to do, like maybe have an MP9 and a smoke, is just jiggle apps a bit. You may take like one hit of damage, but I think it's still safer, and then you can just go like that. There's also a nade stack you can do for the jump up to bedroom. You're gonna get stuck in here. Aim at this yellow flower and just run. jump throw when you hit this second thing sticking out. And then you can get your short player to pair this with a nade like this. So if the terrorists are throwing the lurk smoke out apps, you see this, you need to call this to your teammates immediately, because they can jump up on this balcony and get one way on them if your short players may be playing on site. Maybe they're short as well, so you just got to make them aware of that. But as soon as I see this smoke come up, I'm usually straight away throwing a nade in, or I'm waiting for it to pop, and then I'm throwing a nade like that. And then you can kind of give the smoke a spam flashes. So at the start of the round, there's another time you can communicate with your teammates. You can be like, I'm playing pit this round, I can flash brackets for you, Mr. Short Player, if you need a flash. So you kind of aim at the top of this window here, and that will literally bounce right on this corner here. So that's really good if there's an AWP holding this angle. You don't really see that coming, and then your short player can peek if you want to retake black brackets. It's also a flash you can get your short player if they're playing site, or maybe your long player to throw, and that can flash you into apps to peek. You can also throw a self flash in apps if you like, something like this, and you can peek with the flash if they're turning away. You can also just wait and go like that. So if you're stuck in pit or something and you're taking a lot of heat, you can like throw flashes like that, maybe a bit, yeah, like that. These flashes are pretty good because they will pop behind this wall, so they'll hardly blind you, and you can just peek with this flash instantly. That's a really powerful flash. Better than this one for sure. So that one they'll see coming, they'll turn from it, so you could maybe peek with that, maybe get one kill, but that flash is really good. And then the same goes if you're in graveyard. Maybe they're pressuring you graveyard, you can throw a flash like that, and maybe peek, maybe more likely peek like that. So I'm now going to show you some retake utility for retaking B. So if someone says that there's no CT smoke, or if you know there's no CT smoke, you can throw this smoke here, and this will block off any AWPer that's maybe new box or pillar or fountain. So this lets you kind of progress up here. It also gives you a little one way as well that you can use. You've also got, this is what I usually throw most rounds, because it's usually a CT smoke up, but this is your standard banana smoke. One thing you've got to be careful of with this smoke is people playing in front of it to catch you out, because quite often you'll think, oh, banana smoked off, no point clearing that, I'll swing like this, and then there's this guy standing in front of the smoke ready to shoot you in the back. One thing you can also do if like CT's maybe smoked or something, is you kind of aim in the middle of the half wall and run through, and this will nade the planter. You can do the same with a molly actually, and this will molly the whole of default. It's really powerful. Obviously you'll probably be getting here after the bomb's planted, but it's good to know that stuff anyway, just in case. There's some retake flashes you can throw here, which is quite good. And then from the same position, you can throw emo/dark molly. And you just you press jump throw when you hit that beam. I'm now going to show you some stuff that I would not recommend doing. So first of all, if you're playing on balcony, I would never play in front of this rail, because if you get flashed, it's harder to get off. Like, you have to jump, you have to move. Whereas if you're on the balcony, you can just come off like that if you get flashed. And maybe if you get in rush as well, it's just hard. You get blocked by all this stuff. It's better playing on the balcony or on the edge like that, or like that. You can just hop off like that. Also, positions I wouldn't ever play are positions like this. If you got USP even, it will stick out here. Most guns will stick out here. It's right eye peek for them as well. If they're just slowly clearing this, you're dead before you even see them. It's a terrible place to be. I would never go there. This can be risky because if someone slowly clears this, they will kill you, but it can be good on an eco or a low force buy to catch someone out. Maybe you hear them rushing, this could be a good place. So I don't like playing, I think I mentioned this earlier, but angles like this, which get pre-fired so often. Similarly, angles like this as well, gets pre-fired a lot, pre-aimed. Also, another thing I don't like is double hull setups like this and like this, or no, like that, like that, especially with two rifles, is because if someone throws one good flash here, you've got two people blind and possibly they're both dying with no sort of trade, and you've probably lost the round. Even if there is no flash and a guy peeks and he gets one of you and you trade, the trade is still really favouring the T side anyway, because they can just group up as a 4 and hit a site. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. I hope you enjoyed or learnt something from this video. Maybe you can add to your how you play apps, or maybe you've got something that I don't know, and you can add that in the comments, or DM me if you know me. Happily take some feedback and learn even more. So yeah, thanks for watching.